Good morning, creative souls. It's Friday, about to go into the weekend. Super busy, but super fulfilled in life. I hope you're there too. What I wanted to talk to you about today is the nervous system and how we can regulate it, because I feel like this is like a buzzword that keeps going around. And if you don't quite understand it, it can sound very woo-woo and very BS. I don't know. But it's not. It absolutely isn't. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that today and maybe give you a tip or two on how to do this yourself, or maybe even recognize when you might be in need for it. So a little education goes a long way on this topic for sure. Let's go ahead and get started today.
Hey friend, welcome to Deep Healing for Creative Entrepreneurs. My name is Aubrey Barr, and I am a subconscious release technique practitioner and photography business owner. I know you are sick of ending your day feeling overwhelmed and exhausted, and you are seeking a solution to help you feel creatively inspired and actively engaged in your business as well as personal life. In this podcast, we are going to dig into any limiting beliefs or subconscious programs that are keeping you in a space filled with anxiety and stress. This work is not a temporary solution for your life. No, this is a complete transformation. So grab your coffee or tea and let's start you on the road to healing. And let me just say, you can do this, you are worth it, and you are meant to thrive in life and business. So let's dig in.
So one of the reasons why I absolutely love this topic is obviously it's my field, right? This is what I work in. But also, I had such a deep understanding of this way before we decided to call it out for what it is. I mean, we would say, it's fight or flight you're living in, or you're stuck in your past traumas and that's displaying in your world today. These are all things that I say all the time, but in reality, the dysregulation of the nervous system is kind of a newer term that people are passing around outside of the healers and the therapist and that kind of line of work. So it's kind of funny to see everybody come full circle and be like, oh my gosh, is this really what's happening? And I'm here to tell you, yes, it freaking is, okay? It's that's what's happening here. When we understand the power of our words and the power of our memories and those emotions that we've felt before, when we understand that those are stuck inside of us, then we get the bigger picture about why this may be affecting us on the level that it is. Because otherwise, we just sit back and we're like, I have no idea why I'm like this. I have no idea why I freak out. I have no idea why, my kid chewing their nails sends me across the room throwing plates, right? It's these weird little triggers that start to make sense. And yes, part of healing is understanding, right? And always part of teaching is also understanding and helping people to understand better what's going on in their lives and what's going on in their bodies. So this is an essential conversation to have. So I wanted to start out by talking about it in that way, and know that no matter where you're at listening to this, it's very possible that you have some sort of nervous system deregulation. Now, even I do, okay? Even I do. I've noticed things, and then I've been able to help them, obviously. That's what I do. But, it's kind of impossible to skate by in life and never have this issue and never have something come up like this. So obviously, the first step to being able to open up to what this may look like in your life is just being open up to the fact that it's probably happening, even if you're not consciously like, oh, that's what that was, which is fine, right? But just understanding that it's probably happening. It's a big deal. So let's talk about what you may be experiencing when your nervous system is dysregulated. Like I mentioned, we've got triggers, like haywire triggers, right? All the time, crazy ones. Sometimes it is simple, but those are usually people who have done some work on themselves. They've done some healing already. But a lot of times it's a little complex. I mean, it's kind of hard to pinpoint why you're freaking out. And even me saying that and using the words freak out probably triggered some of you, but that's okay too. right? When you're triggered, really just look at that as knowledge. Okay, that's knowledge, right? That means something's going on in my life that is directly pulling that experience up when this happens. Now, what is it? Okay, now you're on your own journey for that, but understand that it's knowledge. Write it down, take a break, separate yourself from the situation, and find the time to be able to sit into that and see what it really means. Okay, secondly, another thing that comes up when your nervous system is dysregulated, you get sleepy so easily, right? Because the fight or flight is so crazy. This really, really ties into adrenal fatigue. People don't even realize it, but it does, because this is that go energy and then exhaustion, and it's on or off, and it's very, very hard to navigate and to plan your whole life around because it gets so extreme. So notice that maybe your energy levels may be playing into this. Another thing that you may notice is that you have unexpected reactions. I'm not just talking about the triggers, but you actually have unexpected crying episodes, or a lot of people keep the cries in, so it might be something different. Like you might all of a sudden out of nowhere be so worried that you feel like you're going to give yourself an ulcer and you have no idea why. These are emotions that are sitting in there and they never know when to be released. They've been trapped for so long that they're just like, oh, let's trigger that worry now. It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of times these reactions don't make any sense, and that's a really good indication that something is dysregulated. So when we look at subconscious programs and we look at limiting beliefs and we look at trauma, we can see how some of these may be overloading the system and causing these hiccups in the way that you run your life. So to me, if you're at that stage where you're starting to notice these hiccups and you're starting to really question why something's going on and you have no idea most of the time, this is a good indication that your body is ready for some healing. And so being open to further insight is really going to be key here. So what can you do on your own when you realize that you are having some of these hiccups and you are having some of these triggers and you'd like to tackle them yourself? There is things that you can do. One, you can get quiet. You can be still. Erase any kind of idea of what this timeline is going to look for you. Patience goes a long way when you are in the mindset of healing, right? When we look at an end goal, we don't say, oh, it's only worth it if it's fast, right? That doesn't make any freaking sense. It's always worth it, whether or not it takes a long time or not. And what I see happen so much is people are actually ready to tackle something going on from their childhood or going on in their subconscious. They are ready to tackle it and they expect it to be done and over with that day. And if it's not, then they get mad and they make it last longer because they are not open to the timing that their body needs, right? We're not on some kind of schedule, guys. Hello. Now, what's really cool is when you hire a professional, when you get the help that you actually need, this really could go by pretty fast. But when I say pretty fast, I'm saying that in a year from now, you're going to look back and say, totally did that. That was good. The first few sessions got me moving in the right direction, and it just took a couple more here and there to really push me through that. Okay, so some of you might say that's not fast. And I'd encourage you to open your mind to the fact that it took a very long time for your nervous system to get stuck where it's at right now. So allow for fast to be relative. So then number 2, obviously, I'm so leading into this, is please stop putting limits on your healing. Okay, when we start this process and we say, if blank, then this, like if this works in 1 month time, then, I'm going to be so much better and I'll now have a relationship with my mom and I'll now have, my husband loving me and it's just like, stop saying if then. Do you do that for everything? Honestly, do you do that for everything? If you wake up and decide today I'm going to eat healthy, do you expect that you've lost weight? Because if you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, mind you, and you're a woman, you got to stick with that for like a year, right? It's just, that's what we have to do. So really just taking a step back, erasing the limits. allowing yourself to be still. And then thirdly, committing. You need to commit to yourself. Okay? You are in this for the long run. This is your body, your mind, your life. And I mean, maybe this is good, maybe this is bad, but you're controlling more of it than what you realize. Through your thoughts, through your actions, you have literally made the bed that you sleep in right now. And I know some people will find that hard to digest, but that's okay because it's true. Whatever you have done as far as let's say boundaries, you've let somebody walk all over you. That's why you're in the situation you're in now. If you've allowed uncontrollable spending, that's why you're in the situation you're in now. What part of your life and your current circumstances can you take ownership over? That is the sign of somebody who is super emotionally intelligent, is to be able to take that in their hands, own what they can, and change the rest. So just to clarify, what I am really wanting you to get from this is, how committed are you to this journey? Okay, I know that it's easy to compare yourself to someone else and say, well, she didn't have to do all this work and she didn't end up suffering through these things, and she, never had to really suffer at the bottom of work. She's always just kind of made money, and she's always just made friends, and she's always had this amazing relationship. And I dare you to stop thinking about other people and just look at yourself and say, how committed am I to myself, to my future self, to my children, to establishing a legacy for our family? How committed are you to that? That's where your energy should be. That's where your attention, your action, everything should be taking place. And we forget that sometimes. And that is because we allow the world to plague our own minds. If you do that, then you are, this is what I would call, living of the world and not in the world. And yes, that's a scriptural reference. So when you're living of the world, you are a part of it, you are engaged in worldly things, you are not working on you. You are not committed to your growth. Okay? So I'm sorry if that sounds harsh. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry. There's a reason why I am having this conversation with you today, wherever this finds you. Okay, maybe it's for you. Maybe it's just to shake a little things up in there. I want you to take responsibility for where you're at, and I want to see you in a better place, because those are the people that I can work with. I love having people like that in my circle. Those are the people that I let into my programs. Those are the people that I coach one-on-one. When you are willing to take responsibility, you are ready for the rest. Okay? There's so many people out there that will hear this and tell me how I'm wrong and tell me how they didn't have control of their situation and they were abused and they were this and they were that. And that's okay if you're still in that spot. But that spot is not for me. It is not for me because I know it does not provide a better life. It does not provide growth. It does not provide a chance to make something of yourself and your circumstances. So you get to decide where you're at. But on the other side of this nervous system getting regulated is a whole crap load of fun and joy and excitement and love that you are currently blocking. It's as if you're standing in a rain, right? This rain is just falling all over you, and it's actually joy, and it feels so beautiful. And it's like our Florida days where it's hot, but it's raining, and it's like this beautiful shower. And you're sitting there and you're like, give me an umbrella. I got to put it up. I don't want any of this love. I don't want any of this joy or excitement in my life. That's what you're doing when you refuse to recognize what you can change in your life. And that sounds harsh again, but that is what you're doing. You are literally guarding yourself from being happy. Like, no matter what it takes, I prefer to be sad. I prefer to be angry. I prefer to be unpredictable, uncontrollable, in a bad mood. That's what I'm choosing, because that's what you're choosing. That is what you're choosing. So if you want to be in the camp of allowing for good things to come into your life, attracting good things into your life, then the first thing you need to do is recognize that you need help with your nervous system. You need help regulating these emotions. There's too much stuck in there. There's too many stories and false beliefs stuck in your head and too many trapped emotions stuck in your body that you're not able to live. I was doing a group session yesterday with my membership, and there was a lot of things coming up, and we were just clearing a lot of subconscious programs. And I got the feeling that we need to clear sadness from our bodies. And I don't do that often, but I did. I walked them through how to release sadness. We had to release it from shoulders. We had to release it from hips. There was a noticeable shift in energy within 30 seconds of doing that work, because these women were holding so much sadness in their bodies. I mean, how could your body operate at an acceptable level when you're holding so much inside? And I know a lot of you will say, well, how do I fix that? How do I even know that? I don't have this extra information. I'm not intuitive with my body. I'm not given these, thoughts and these programs and these ideas and anything that's inspiring me to change this. Well, if this is inspiring you right now, then you need to be in my membership group with these ladies. I've opened up 10 more spots. It's the perfect place to be for people who are new at this, who really want to see shifts happen, but cannot invest in the one-on-one coaching or cannot invest in Deep Healing for the Creative Soul program. This is a perfect place for you. And I also have people who have graduated from Deep Healing for the Creative Soul that still wanted to work on some things. And so they have also joined the membership. So we have 2 different types of people in here. And it's insanely inspiring to see these women show up, take action, take control of their lives in ways that they were told they could never do. Okay, so you get to decide what camp you want to be in. You get to decide how much control you're going to have over your life and your circumstances. If I let my past define me, I'd still be living in my car. And I'm not, okay? It was very uncomfortable. Just kidding. I'm sorry. I have jokes. I'm a real person, okay? But even though I laugh sometimes at silly things and things that are deep, there's a huge part of me that just wants to help people heal. And I'm very passionate about it, as you can tell. So I have strategically and energetically opened my heart up every day for the last 2 years so that I can have a space for people who are ready for this kind of change. And some of you will not understand what that means. But basically, when you have been living in fight or flight, and when you have all these defense mechanisms up from these programs and from these traumas, it is very, very difficult to truly open your heart to people. Because your heart and the energy around it absolutely will close off. It will. You can still love somebody in that state, but to truly be vulnerable in front of them, to share everything with them, if it's possible, to allow them to see a part of you that you have closed off due to trauma, that is a different level of healing. That is, it's a whole other level. And that's what I've had to do in order to become a coach, in order to help people with this healing that I do. I've had to, I say manually because it really feels like it, but every day, set the intention that I'm going to open my heart to people who need that space. They need to be there in it. And that's just the power of healing the nervous system, the mind, the body. That shows us that progress is possible, that there's light on the other side of the tunnel, but you get to decide when you're going to walk through that. Okay, that's your choice. The ball is in your court. All right, guys, if you have any questions about this, please send me an email. Let me know. Otherwise, I'd love to see you guys in the membership before the spots are taken. it's amazing. And if you've been following along with me talking about our next program, the intuition calibration, that's starting in February. You will get to attend that live as part of your membership perk. And that is something that on its own will be $497 after it's released. So just by joining and staying with me for 4 months, you've already paid for that. So it's definitely a win-win, okay? All right, guys, have a beautiful weekend. I hope you all find some warmth, find some sun, find some time to be quiet and still and reflect, and allow yourself to commit to healing your mind and your body. This is an investment in yourself that will last a lifetime and probably more generations to come. All right, guys, have a beautiful day. We'll talk soon.
I hope this podcast spoke to you in some way. If it did, please go ahead and leave me a review and subscribe so that I know you're enjoying what you hear. And further, if you know somebody else who owns their own creative business and struggles with anything that we spoke about, please pass this on, because it is my hope that we will be able to build a community of like-minded individuals who love on each other and appreciate the many facets that make our creative business so unique. And lastly, check out the show notes to find my free Facebook community and other useful links to work with me. All right, friend, see you soon.